Cool. All right. Welcome to the Prospecting Masterclass. It is March 7th. I can't believe it's March 7th already. And during this masterclass, we're going to go over some big picture concepts, as well as why prospecting is important to you, as well as your potential clients. Why is it valuable to learn this out in the marketplace when you're selling your financial services, and what not to do versus what you can possibly do and implement into your own sales processes and structure. So, Dorothy, you are here with me live. Dorothy is joining us from Memphis, Tennessee. If you want to drop in the chat what it is that you do and what you are wanting to learn from this class, or maybe why you decided to join this class. And if you do catch this replay, there will be comments in which you can comment on the back end of the replay video in Podia. So super cool. Yeah, we're going to kick it off. And my first question to those of you who will watch this live or the replay is, are you really ready to learn some new strategic strategies on how to establish relationships with your ideal prospects and how to position yourself as the go-to expert? Cool. So Dorothy is a bookkeeper and a tax expert. Awesome. All right, so during class today, you're going to learn about my signature method called the permission process and how it is the easiest way to convert at least 60% of cold leads after a 2-call, maybe 1-call close without ever being pushy or salesy or using old, outdated tactics. You're going to learn how to create what I love to call possible value propositions when you're calling on potential prospects in order to lower resistance and objections. You're going to learn how the permission process is the key to lessening that rejection or never getting rejected again. And then I'm going to show you what I have passed on to 99% of my clients who have made right over $4 million with this methodology in 2022. And if you see me drinking a lot of water, I'm getting over a cold. I'm trying to get over these allergies that I've been suffering from, that have been kicking my butt. So, Dorothy, since you're live, how does this sound? Let me know if this sounds like these are good steps to take and it's right for you. And if you're watching this replay, you can feel free to comment as well. Why prospecting? So a lot of people will say, I reach out to people all the time and I don't get response, or I am cold calling and there is some response, but it's not built to the point where people are saying yes to want to hop on a call or say yes to my business. And I believe that one of the biggest things when it comes to prospecting is sharing our results. Results equal new business. Now, this is a fact that I found when doing my own research and also working with clients. 8 out of 10 prospects do take meetings with you when they find that you're not being pushy and you're not using what I like to call the old man model or outdated tactics, because this no longer works on the today buyer who is sophisticated, who does their own research. And sellers, us, whether you're a financial expert or in sales yourself, selling consulting or business services, we control what happens in the sales conversation. And we are the ones that need to have that prospecting system, whether it is cold lead generation or we have warm buyers in our marketplace. Now, this isn't a guarantee, but it is my hope for you that you can implement this prospecting masterclass into your sales, and it will help your bottom line and bring more cash into your business, hopefully soon, after this class, and help you start to differentiate yourself from other tax experts or bookkeeping experts or financial advisors and planners in the marketplace. So why does this even matter? Well, our prospects want to hear from us very early on in the sales conversation. So whether or not they're a cold lead or a warm lead, and they've been kind of circling around us, they want to hear from you. I like to refer it to, we have a bunch of bananas in a banana tree, and the sloths like bananas, and it takes a sloth forever to get back up onto a tree to get to that banana. It's kind of similar when we're trying to build an authentic connection or relationship. It may take a few steps before someone says yes to a call. However, my goal is to teach you how to do this in a 2-call close. Now, our prospects find that about 58% of us don't bring value. And this is mainly due to the lack of relationship, and we're trying to go in for the sale. Now, the problem with trying to just go in for the sale is people will put their walls up, they'll start to build resistance, and they don't want any parts of you. This can happen in our marketing content. This can happen in instant message where we're conversing back and forth. And this can even happen on a cold call when you're picking up the phone to potentially call someone and share what you do. Cold calling isn't dead. It just isn't used correctly. It's being used, what I like to call under the old man model way of selling, which is what we're going to talk a little bit later about. Your prospects are educated buyers. They are sophisticated. Most of them do know what they're looking for and why they're looking for it, but they still want to hear from you and your valuable information. And you'll see later, I explain the difference between results and value and why that's important. And lastly, why does this matter? Why does prospecting matter? Your prospects are going to find you valuable when you are looking to build that camaraderie, that connection. Prospects find sellers valuable. Sales start to convert in initial meetings, and we can start to close on calls easier when we build that emotional connection. So when it comes to sales, a lot of people are still relying on this old man model. So I want to talk to you about what this actually is. And it's a phrase that I coined, and I see it all the time happening on social media, in networking groups, even when people sell from a stage. This old man model has been used in the financial industry since way back when a big old fat white man decided to create sales tactics that were pushy. And it bothers me because a lot of women within the financial industry don't like to sell this way, but they're almost forced into selling this way. And a lot of women have left since 2020 the industry to start their own gigs because of the old man model. So some of the symptoms and indicators that you might still be using this model, and if you are, no shame in your game, I just want to point it out because there is room for tweaks. There's room to see that there's far more powerful techniques and potential that you could be using that would feel better for you and feel better for your prospects. So, number one, within the old man model, people who sell this way might lack confidence in what they're saying in their sales process and what they are actually selling and how they're selling it. Number two, there is a lack of trust and safety within you first. And then when you go to sell, because people might not even need what you're offering, and yet we're hammering it down into their throat, like, you need to buy this. Number three, there's a lack of emotional connection between you and the potential prospect. And number four, a lot of what I see is there's a lack of belief in what you're actually selling. And so again, that leads to that emotional disconnection between you and your client, but also you and making more money. So if you don't believe in what you're selling, that doesn't help you in any which way. Why bother selling what you're selling? So the reason why the old man model still gets to continue being used is because the industry does not focus on helping people learn a different way to sell. Behavioral finance, selling emotionally is exactly what I do. And so being able to teach a new and exciting way to sell is not what we're going to see in the industry unless we decide to make this change. After speaking to many financial experts, I learned that 9 times out of 10, women mainly will fail out of the industry because of this model. And these corporations don't care. It's all that they know within the industry, and it's all that they continue to push, which is production over people. Our prospects are sophisticated. They're wanting us to see them, to hear them, to care about them. And they want us to be the people that stand out within the financial industry. I include myself in this because it's who I work with. So if you find me saying that I'm in the industry, I'm not. I just am so passionate about changing this industry for the better. So relationship selling, aka emotional selling, is the most vital part of sales within almost any industry, but the financial industry in particular, because money is emotional. But, without this connection, our customers just see us as any other accountant, any other bookkeeper, any other financial advisor or planner in the marketplace. And lastly, the old man model. It's a system that it's been designed as the only way that you should be able to sell. And that's almost been drilled into a lot of financial experts, especially advisors and planners in the marketplace. This is exactly how you're supposed to sell. So if you, Dorothy, find that this is sounding familiar, I'd love to hear from you in the chat, or if you're picking up what I'm putting down thus far. Now, we're going to talk about why you might be here and what you have most likely tried already. And then we're going to speak about, why this is important. But before we do, I want to learn from you what you're most excited to learn about today in this class when it comes to prospecting. So if you want to drop that in the chat, that'd be awesome as well. Why me, right? Why billionaire Brittany Young? Why sign up for this class? So I have spent my entire career, including 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry, 2.5 years in oil and gas sales, running with the best of the best men in both industries. And sales has been what I have known and what I have done up until March 7th, 2023. Within the pharmaceutical industry, I ran a sales territory that crossed the entire United States. I grew that territory from 50 accounts to 300 accounts, and grew my revenue within my territory from $800,000 to $6.2 million within a 2-year span, all on cold prospecting. This is new to me, but I agree, big corporations focus on production and not people. Yes, awesome. So I like to teach sales differently. I like to teach women in the financial industry how to build personal relationships with their said prospects through their language, in both their sales processes and their content when selling, their tone, how we're approaching what we're saying, how we're saying it, how to use curiosity in our questioning, and how to get prospects to know, like, and trust you through the information that they share with you, and you're mirroring back to them what you're hearing. And I personally help clients design their own frameworks when it comes to their sales processes, when I work with them both one-to-one and in my group program, Sell Your Way Mastermind. The biggest difference that I see between myself and other sales consultants who either sell within the financial industry or as a whole is I have my own methodology, which is called the permission process. And this is a unique method that combines emotional selling, behavioral finance, and logic all combine into a sales process. So you not only communicate the value of what you sell, but you stay top of mind within your prospects because of how you made them feel when building a relationship with them. So if this resonates with you, drop me a yes in the comments. And then we're going to talk about, why you might be here today. I find that a lot of clients that I've worked with or continue to work with are coming into this world of sales because they want to learn a new way of selling, and they need to learn how to appeal to a prospect, which gets often overlooked as a key motivator between us and our potential market. You might be here because you want to learn how to connect with someone on that emotional level and get straight to the heart and the mind of either a decision maker in a corporation or the actual buyer who might be purchasing your tax services or bookkeeping services. You want to stop selling benefits. A lot of us will sell features and benefits and start selling and communicating our value. And value is actually our outcomes, not our products or services. And value is the result of what that product can deliver on. So for instance, I work right now with a mortgage broker. And one of the key results is obviously getting approval for her clients to get a mortgage approval for them to go and buy a home. But on the back end of that as well is for them to, see all of their financial data. And so one of the key things that she does is she goes over and does a complete financial analysis, which is a method that she now implements based upon our work into all of her sales calls. And she lets her clients know, this is what differentiates me from the market. You might be here because you could use some extra confidence to keep morale high, especially if you might be facing some sales rejection or resistance from potential prospects. You've been taught methods that don't feel like they're in alignment, and they might feel icky or salesy, and you're looking for a different way in order to sell. You want that extra freedom when you're selling to use your own language, your own tone, your own way of being. That's different from what you might have been taught, which is sell your product, sell your services first, and then listen, for a response. And you're looking to build those long-lasting relationships and for clients to trust you while you're also building that trust within yourself. You might have tried to mention what you're up to, what you're selling, what you're doing, how you're doing it. And this might throw a client off or put up that wall and have that sales resistance because they feel like they're being sold to right off the bat. Maybe you've tried avoid even getting on sales calls because you don't know what to say, or you don't really know how to approach the sale. Maybe you're getting on these calls to explain your services, but then you're like, okay, see you later. Have a nice day. And there's no interaction of an actual sale or teaching, what the next steps might be. You're reaching out to people and they tell you, next time, or I don't need this service right now, or this isn't a good time for us to talk. Can we, push it off in the next couple of months? And that could lead to a lot of feeling of rejection or fear of selling. And lastly, you might be on that initial call for an hour or two, and you're trying to gather information, but you don't make it past that call. It's like this initial foundational call, and then there's nothing, crickets. And we're like, oh, what did I do wrong? What should I have done better? And, we get into our head instead of trying to come back to the value of what we provided. So today, during this class, we're going to chat about the permission process, how that's different, leave some time for Q&A at the end, and I'm going to give you this workbook so you have it. And then any questions that you might have, you and I can, get them answered at the end of this class. This information is important for you in the financial industry because without lowering sales resistance and getting prospects to see your value in what you're offering and how you do what you do, you might struggle to effectively communicate with that potential buyer and also struggle to sell your services. In order for you to maximize your chances for success on your sales calls, the focus needs to be not only on the buyer, but on the buyer's needs and their emotions. So we're talking about emotional selling. When you do this, the buyer's resistance begins to lower because now we're in the psyche of the buyer in their mind. And they want to become more transparent with you. They want to open up. They want to share more. If you don't focus on the personal goals and needs of the buyer, chances are they might push you away, again, put up that wall, and they might not want to open up in future calls, even if they say yes about their finances, because we're so logical and we're only operating from that logic instead of operating from a heart space and an emotional way of being. So the key here when it comes to, selling in a different way is to define your primary objective on a sales call and what you want the prospect to do on the other end as a result of the call. And this is about getting the prospect to take action when either you're reaching out to them in a cold message, email, or on a call. What is that next action step? And how can we emphasize that on our sales calls? Dorothy, are you with me? How are we doing?
Yes, I'm just listening.
Awesome. So over, the extension of this class, I'm going to share with you as much as I can about the prospecting way of selling and break down possible value propositions, which I mentioned above earlier. And my goal is for you to walk away with a unique framework so you can close more sales after understanding what your prospects might need from you on an initial call. And, based on this class, you might want some additional support or help selling in your own unique way so you can achieve 10, 20, 30K months and beyond for yourself and for your business. So you can take more time off and just be. So I've got you covered there. And I promise at the end, I'll share with you on how there's potential to go deeper and get help further. So if you have any questions about that, let me know in the chat. And I hope that sounds good to you. So we're going to move into how the permission process can change your sales process itself. Now, I teach this methodology when I work with clients, but today you're going to get a little sneak peek of what it is and why it's important to bring into your sales process. It's a step-by-step methodology that teaches you how to become first, number one, aware of your own emotions in the sales process. So you can start to make sales about your client and their needs. And what I love to do is help my clients create a unique framework so clients chase them and not the other way around. And I do this through not only a sales script and sales language based on your own language and your own tone and how you present on a sales call or in your sales prospecting, but also through content and strategies on the back end. The permission process is the key, at least I like to think, of never getting rejected on a call ever again. And this process is here to help you figure out what clients specifically need from you rather than, going out of your way to hard pitch to them what you're offering. And that's the biggest difference maker that I see between sales people in the financial industry. They want to pitch their services rather than finding out exactly what the client needs. and how to effectively communicate that either in your content or on a call. And number three, how does it help you to never get rejected? Well, we're going to create commonality and camaraderie between you and the prospect, learning how to build that reciprocity, stand in your authority on a sales call, and build certainty so they actually want to work with you. And this is all done through your language, your tone, and the questions that you and I, or, clients would create, which I like to call curiosity questions. Cool. So the possible value proposition model. I love this model because it will help you to lower the resistance and begin to uncover the need of what the client is looking for. Now, the possible value proposition is exactly the questions or the frameworks that we would use when we get into cold DMs or we get into a cold call or even on our initial discovery call or sales meeting. And our job through the possible value proposition is to get our potential prospects to see the value of what we're offering. And this all comes down to your specific sales language. The conversation is to be based on curiosity, not us telling somebody what to do or how to do it. So when we use this strategy, we're already starting to get into the mind of the buyer through our content. They're watching us. They've been watching us. Even if they're new, they might be following what we're doing. And so, I say we might want to get into the minds of the buyer, because if you miss on filling the need of the prospect and you're trying to sell your services on an initial call or even through your content, chances are people are not going to see the value of what you're offering, and they're going to have that resistance wall up. People really want to receive information from you on an initial call, or, even talking to you in a cold DM. It's up to us to ask them for the initial information. And I find that a lot of financial experts shy away from asking pertinent and important and informative questions when trying to build that reciprocity and authority on an initial call. And that's why the possible value proposition model is really important. And it's really underutilized. But it's that one thing that can have the greatest impact and payoff. And I'm going to show you how to use it in a possible framework so you know what I'm talking about. And this isn't just a bunch of sales jargon. The PVP, all it does is requires you to make time. Okay, so actually curating a framework takes time. Building that sales script takes time. Building curiosity in your sales language and even in your content takes time. And learning how to cultivate that connection so that people see what you're doing more as conversation rather than an actual sales call. So we use possible value propositions to move from our initial cold call or prospecting call, and we use that from that initial conversation to then offer them to take action and getting on a sales call in which we close on the sales call. So we're going to talk about the personalized prospecting framework. And we're going to do some role playing. um, on what you might possibly say when you're hopping on a sales call or even, getting into a direct message with somebody. So you and I are going to spend some time, Dorothy, doing that right now. And then we're going to go over what a potential call might look like to kind of see the gap or the differentiation between what a possible value proposition could do within your sales call. So are you still with me? Take this off.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So if you wouldn't mind hopping off camera. Awesome. So how often do you do either direct message selling or cold messaging or cold calling? Okay, never do. Okay.
I'm
That's
sorry. I never do.
okay. So when it comes to sales, how are you getting clients?
Through my other clients, through clients that I already have.
Okay, so through referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. How do those sales calls go?
I don't do sales calls.
Okay, so what's your process?
I mean, they tell me they have somebody, and then I guess I call them on the telephone.
Mhm.
I'll call them, and then I'll schedule an appointment to meet with them face to face.
Okay,
Mhm.
so most of your clients are local, which is awesome.
So far, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Mhm.
awesome, cool. How does that initial meeting go?
The initial meeting, well, I asked a bunch of questions so I can see um if they just want the bookkeeping, or do they need bookkeeping and tax. If
Okay,
they need bookkeeping and tax, then I would need to know how they set up the entity, and how many dependents they have. Different things I need to know based on what they need me to do.
okay. And how receptive are people? How willing are they to give that information over to you on the initial meeting?
Well, I think they're receptive because they already know me
Mhm.
through somebody else.
Great. So when we talk about new people coming into your world who don't know you,
Mm-hmm.
do you have that strategy kind of laid out on what that's going to look like? Yeah.
No,
Okay,
I don't.
cool. Would you be open to kind of role playing what that potential conversation might look like?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to play the client and you're going to play you. And let's say you found me, I put up something on social media and I said, I'm looking for a bookkeeper and I'm looking for tax services for my business. And that's all I put up.
um,
And you comment and you say, this is my business, this is what I do. Would you be open to hopping on a call? And then I say yes. So we're on that call and you and I are learning about one another. And I'm going to let you take it from there.
I wouldn't know what to say because I mean, I would just say, oh, I really don't know, to be honest.
Okay,
I,
cool.
I don't know. So,
All right. So that's why
uh,
we're here, right? So this next part of the class, I'm going to teach you if somebody comments on something that you're doing or you see on social media or even, out in the real world and someone says, I'm looking for a bookkeeper and I'm looking for tax services, this is a potential kind of way that you could use a conversation. All right. And just to make a note here, most salespeople, when they get on a call, they assume that someone's wanting to make a purchase. Now, in your case, which is really cool, you're getting referrals, and they know they need your work and they need your services. But if I'm getting on a call and I don't know you and we've never met, I have my guard up. I'm scared. I know that you might be selling something to me, but I'm also like, ooh, I don't know if I need Dorothy's help. How can Dorothy help me? What's she going to offer that Tom down the street, neighbor Tom, who's also a bookkeeper, a CPA, is offering maybe the same services, but I want to speak to you first. And so what a lot of people will do is they assume that your services are needed just because, they requested information. But because you're educated and okay, this prospect may need what I have, might not need what I have, might not be a good fit, we're going to start to build some camaraderie in the very beginning of the conversation before we even get into the sale. So the number one thing is when we get on initial sales calls with potential prospects is to stay calm, cool, and collected and pretty neutral. I have been on sales calls, and maybe you have too, where someone gets on and they're overly enthusiastic and they're like, hey Dorothy, how you doing? I want to sell you this vacuum today. And you're like, whoa, I am not buying a vacuum from that crazy white lady. Or they get on and they're like, hey Dorothy, how's it going? And there's all this background noise and they're distracted and they're trying to keep their voice low. And yet there's chaos going on all over the place. So when we get on our call, we're not only walking in with confidence, but we're saying, hey, Dorothy, this is Brittany from Young Wealth Inc. You recently asked us to send you some information regarding our financial services for small business owners. And I'm just calling you back to see if we might be able to help you. Is now still an appropriate time? And, that right there can lower resistance. I know what I'm calling about. You know what you're calling about. You know what the person is looking for. They need tax services for their small business. They need bookkeeping, maybe for their personal taxes. And you're calling to say, hey, I'm seeing if, we could possibly be the ones to help you. Is now still a good time? And that prospect will be like, yeah, I've got a few minutes. So you'll say, okay, I should probably start out by asking, how'd you find us? Or did you find what you're looking for? Because sometimes, even if we give them a call, they might have already found services. But if they didn't, and we ask that question of, are you still looking? Right? It's tax season. It's deadline season right around the corner. Some people wait till the last minute and they might still be looking. So this conversation is really about new prospects. There's different sales conversations to use for referrals as well. But you're going to see some things underlined. So within a sales process, there's there's 6 different ways of asking sales questions in order to lower resistance. So when I mention a connection question, this is about connecting emotionally with that potential prospect. And what this does is it opens up the conversation to be more transparent and about, 80 to 90% of your prospects will start to lower their guard. So within the connection question, you're making sure above that they haven't already found something. They haven't already said yes to somebody else, and they're not doing business with somebody else. So by asking that question, we can then ask this next question of, okay, just curious, what was it about what we do or the ad that you saw or the comment that attracted you to what we do? Right? That has allowed for me, especially on sales calls, to go, oh, they're curious about what I'm offering and what brought me here. Somebody tried to sell me something earlier today and he asked this question, and it really did lower my resistance. Another way of possibly asking this is to, remind them why they saw the ad or why they might be hopping on the call with you in the first place. And they start to tell you, why they're getting on the call with you. So they persuade themselves and invite themselves into the sale. So part of the possible value proposition and the permission process is to get the potential prospect to sell themselves into the actual sale or into saying yes to what you're offering. So once you ask this question, I'm curious about, what attracted you. Someone might say, I was just curious about, what you do, Dorothy. My business helps small business owners. And so I'm looking for somebody to manage our books. And I'm really curious about that. So you say, okay, not a problem. That's all good. And then we're going to diffuse this potential objection here because there is an objection. They're curious, but they don't really know what they're looking for. And to me, that is an objection. So you say, okay, I can go through some details if you'd like me to. It might be appropriate if I knew more about what you do, your services, your company, and what you do to see, or what you do, so we might actually be able to help you or could actually help you. The words might and the word could are keywords in a sales conversation. So why are they key sales conversation words? I don't know if I can help you. If I say I might be able to help you, that lowers sales resistance. If I say I could potentially help you or could actually help you, that also will lower resistance. But if I said to you, I should be able to help you, you're going to go, why should you? And so it's going to build that wall back up. So these are some connection questions. We have situational questions. Situational questions are, it's not a problem. We're not asking about the problem. We're asking about the current situation they find themselves in. And we're looking to kind of probe a little bit more about what their current situation might be. And then from there, we'll be able to find what the gap is in the sales call to see if we can actually fill that gap. So a situational question is to see whether or not they have a problem that you can solve. So the prospect says to you, you know, I'm using an example here, based on ads. So we actually do some banner ads and some CPC, so cold prospecting and calling. And then the salesperson says, how long have you been doing that type of marketing? So trying to find out how long have they been in this market. Another way of asking that is, how long have you been marketing to the specific group of people and how's it going? So you're trying to probe a little bit into their situation to see if you can later on solve their problem. So that's two ways of kind of getting into the background, the emotions, trying to figure out, does the prospect want to connect with you, how to lower the resistance, how to get them into, you know, giving you the answer of what you're looking for. And I just give some other steps on how to actually get through this conversation. So we talked about who you are, you state where you're from, you reference, you know, it could be the ad or the comment that you saw or the marketing tool. Maybe you have a spreadsheet as something that you give out to clients and you're offering it to your potential prospects and they downloaded it and now you're getting on a call with them to put it together or help them fill it out. And then step 4, you're asking, hey, is this still a good time? And then in step 5, we're using these possible value proposition questions of connecting questions and situational questions. So we're using very specific language, tone, and we're asking this person, you know, within this organization, these specific questions and whether or not we can actually be the one to help her. So the fake model up here, new salesperson, gathered information that will help not only her, but help the prospect, because now the prospect is lowering the resistance. This can be done on an initial call, so an initial sales call, if you're doing 1 call close, or even on a 2 call close, if the first call is all about information gathering. I see a lot of that within financial services where the very first call is strictly information, and then the second call is the sales call. Yeah. So any questions on that possible interaction or that conversation between the potential prospect and the seller?
You know what? It sounds like that it might work from not from a buyer's perspective. Like me, I'm always the buyer, and some of the stuff you're saying, that's how they get me to buy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not sleazy tactics. This is a different way of getting people to lower their resistance. And, you know, I have a whole sales script, a whole kind of like cheat sheet, if you will, in my back office when I'm working with somebody to teach them, you know, hundreds of different ways of asking the questions so that people inquire more about your services. And so you're not always the one reaching out to the potential, excuse me, to the potential prospect. You'll find that they're reaching out to you. And when they do, you can edify a lot of these questions. You know, these are just some examples. But like you said, by asking these particular types of questions, I wind up buying. I wind up saying yes. So if you're winding up saying yes, why not use these type of questions in your own sales process? And that's key. If we're buying the vacuum off QVC because they're asking us from the TV, why didn't you get it? What are you waiting for? And you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I need that product. And so when you get on the phone with them and they're asking all these background questions, chances are our resistance has already been lowered and we're more open and emotionally vulnerable to say yes to what someone's offering. Cool. So we went over why it's important to, talk to our potential clients, talk to potential leads in a different way. And we also went over on, how do we build that relationship with these prospects? And the more that we do that, the higher chances of converting them on our next call. We covered the old man model, which we know is no longer effective when we're trying to sell our services. And this matters because it leaves out the emotional connection. It's all about forcing your product onto the buyer rather than getting into that sales conversation and finding out what they actually need from you. We took a look briefly at the signature method, the permission process, how important this might be, and how important it is to be aware of your own emotions, which we didn't really go over much. That's something that I do with clients on how to, become aware of your own emotions, how to regulate them before you're building that potential relationship within a sales call. And we talked about, within the permission process, remaining curious, building that reciprocity in the beginning of conversation, and then how not to get rejected or face objections. And a lot of that has also to do with, what we're putting out there, our content, how we're speaking to people so they know what we're offering. Excuse me. And then lastly, we went over PVP, possible value propositions, how to build your own possible value proposition through the connection, the situational questions, and there's many, many more questions when using the possible value propositions for your next call. PVPs, lower resistance, when you can demonstrate that keyword value of what you offer through the results of what you already do by speaking directly to them when you're on a sales call. So what I mean by that is if I get on a sales call with you, one of the key things that I would explain are how my clients got their results. And I find a lot of salespeople who they miss the mark there. The cool thing about what you do is you get a lot of referrals. So, Mr. Jones is telling Mr. Smith, used Dorothy services. This is what she does. This is how she's great at what she does. But if you're talking to a new prospect, they don't know that. They don't know Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith. So it's going to be key for you to use the results and what they got from using your processes and being able to demonstrate that on a potential sales call. So, we recapped and I went over quite a bit. I hope this was helpful to you to see a little bit of a different way of, selling and how to use this when it comes to potential prospecting. And this is just something that I added at the end. And I like explaining this to everyone around, you've got options here when it comes to sales. you can continue selling the way that you've been selling and getting the results that you've been getting, or implementing a potential strategic process, which will help to put prospects first rather than pushing that old man model or pushing the sale. And we effortlessly do this when we're working with the permission process. It allows for you to remove any objection. And my goal is to help, people when I hop on a call with them, to help them increase their close rate by at least 40% within 30 days. And then when I'm working with somebody on a 90-day or 6-month or year-long time frame, how to increase that to 60% or more. 60% is the average in which my clients are currently closing sales within that 90-day time frame that we're working together. And I always want to leave people feeling better and having more knowledge than when I met them, and having you to see sales a different way by giving yourself permission to personalize your sales process and close conversations in your business so you can start to feel easy when it comes to sales. When you have that aligned sales strategy that you and only you can get behind, and then you implement that, and then your clients get behind what you're selling as well. So if this is of interest to you, or anyone who watches the replay, I am offering what I like to call a complimentary sales audit. And this is where I show you what the permission process can do and help for you in your business, and how it would specifically help you in your financial services. So when you book that audit, we'll see where we can get you a very quick win within your next sales call, and how to begin starting to reframe some of your language and your tone within your sales process. We can also work on building a quick script, almost like we did in this one, and how to begin early rapport with potential prospects. I can also help with building some frameworks around objection handling, or, you have the option of just asking me questions about your current sales process. I can take a look at it and then see how we can tweak it. So the reason why I like to offer the sales audit for free is because you said yes to this class. And I want to be able to help you, and I want to be able to help you personalize your offerings, personalize your sales scripts, so that you're not walking into sales calls going, what do I say and how do I say it? And what if I do get rejected? And then lastly, to give you an opportunity to get to know me even more, get something that might be helpful for you in the long run. And then at the end, you make a decision, does the permission process make sense to bring into my business, to implement onto my calls? Does it not make sense? And just to give you an opportunity to maybe see sales a little bit differently. So that's what I've got for you today. Questions, comments, concerns?
You're gonna send me the link to your Calendly?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's, I think you said it at the end, your approach is totally different than I have ever experienced. And that's the reason why I never wanted to do sales, because everybody make it seem like, go get this person, go get that person. And I was like, but that's not my personality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to force anything on anybody.
Yep.
That's not who I am. So that's why I've always never did sales. And when you put it out there, I was like, oh no, I don't need it. I did, I did. I don't need any more marketing, because all of the marketing is saying, go get these people, make these people buy from you. And I'm saying, but that's not who I am.
Right.
So I want to do that, and I will probably get in your mastermind group. That might do good for me too. But again, I'm glad I came, and I really do like your approach.
Why, thank you. I appreciate you and I appreciate your kind words. I dropped the audit into the chat. Let me know. I can also send it to you in Messenger as well. And yeah, this is a totally different approach. And, I like to tell people I take emotions and I marry them with logic. And it created a baby called permission. And so when people sell, what I often will see is what you're saying: push, 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 go, 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 go get after the person. And that just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. It's ineffective. It's outdated. And it's obnoxious, quite frankly. And so we're pulling back the curtain on what might be a different way of selling, the feminine way of selling. And when we sell in our natural way, we make more money because we're being us. And so, we're lowering the resistance for the potential client for them to say yes. And we're not chasing. It's the other way around. People are chasing us. And so that's why I love this so much, to be able to teach this to other women. It's my mission for women to sell a different way, because we have been taught the sleazy, like, kind of icky tactics, and I'm not here for it. So, any other questions or comments before I let you go?
I guess to speak to me as a buyer, if I need something, to me there's no sale, because if I need it, and I like the way you like your approach. I'm an easy sale.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to push me, but like you say, if you come at me and even if I need it, I probably wouldn't buy it from you.
Right.
So that's how I feel on the buyer side of things. So I think this, what you're doing also, it showed me as a buyer also. So
yeah. And when we can view it that way and see ourselves, would I say yes to this if I'm selling this way? Would I say yes to pushy sales if I were a buyer? No. You get them all the time. Telemarketers calling you, hey, I've got this thing and you need it and it's $19.99, and like you're like, what do I need that for? It's just going to sit on the shelf. It's not going to do anything. I don't need that. And my father always said, there's need and there's want. And I look at that even in a relationship. I don't need for us to be connected. I want for us to be connected. And because I want that connection with you, I'm going to make an effort to build that relationship with you. It might take longer, but I'm here for it because I know I'm building that trust. And that's the foundation of your work, right? Your foundation is, can I be a trusted bookkeeper? And can I provide my clients with excellent service, but at the same time, get their numbers right? And it is about getting their numbers right because you're dealing with taxes and the IRS and stuff. But I would rather have someone who's attentive, who wants to connect with me outside of tax season, and actually appreciates me as a business owner, rather than the accountant that, you know, we had to let go last year, who just did our taxes and didn't have any sort of reciprocity. And it just blew my mind. So if you are in the financial services, this is an opportunity for you to see sales in a different way. And it's important. It's important not only for you as a seller, but also as a buyer. Yeah.
Okay,
Awesome.
I appreciate it, and I'll get on your calendar. Hopefully, I can get on soon.
Sounds good.